What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction. I'm back with some more Luca. And we're returning to The Cure's 1982 album Pornography. Thank you again to Philip for sharing the deluxe editions of these albums. And I do believe there are a couple non-album singles in particular in the second folder that we will go through before we progress to the next album proper. But in the meantime, as we continue through the regular part of the record, the next track is The Figurehead. It's a term that typically relates to a nominal head or leading entity in some organization, some nation state, that is in fact not infused or imbued with the real levers of power, and perhaps one who behind the scenes is actually told what they're going to do and how they're going to do it by figures or individuals or even divisions of that organization that are, again, nominally less significant and less powerful, but who actually wield the practical reins of power. So, given that it could be about a more formal figurehead for a nation state, it makes me wonder if we could be talking about the British monarchy, which, in modern times is more about ceremonial power, more about cultural power. And not to say that soft power can't be significant, but it is not formal and overt political power that perhaps the Prime Minister or Parliament holds, and therefore it wouldn't be surprising to me if it's running in that direction. Even if it is, however, I would not be surprised if there is a double meaning or something relating to personal lives. And perhaps it's even more likely that a figurehead could be on an interpersonal level having nothing to do with government or large organizations in a formal respect. It could even be about someone's own mind and how their active mind making decisions, their conscious mind, is just a figurehead for the subconscious impulses and drives operating beneath the surface that are theoretically in the background of their words and actions, but are in fact the most powerful forces guiding their behavior or dictating their behavior even. So yes, I do wonder how this might shake out, or on what level, what scope, what scale, maybe multiple. I'll try to pick up what I can on a first listen. This is The Cure. The tune is The Figurehead, and it's from their 1982 album Pornography. Love that bass. they're seriously awesome in ways that I never would have known. Again, only being familiar with a couple tracks, and that's a good point. I forgot to say this up front, which is something I was intending on doing. I did my first reaction to a Cure video on my Patreon yesterday. It's still embargoed, but indeed, anyone who would be willing to become a full member, you not only get early access to my video reactions even before they come over here, meaning they go up on Patreon and after a few days they become public over there, but members can see them first and comment first, and then eventually a few days after that, typically I try to move them over here, and sometimes they get blocked, so they have to be teasers over here. But yes, I'm going to start going through Cure video reactions, so anyone who wants to check that out should go over to my Patreon, and anyone who's willing to become a member, which you can do for as little as $5 a month, you would be massively appreciated, and not only get some perks, including early access to music videos and my blooper reels, which, you know, when I shoot these videos, I don't always speak clearly, or, you know, Luca sometimes causes hijinks, so I think there's like 14 blooper reels, and the 15th one is about to start, or is about to drop pretty soon. But it also helps me do stuff here on YouTube, which was actually the original plan for my Patreon. It was basically saying, hey, if you like what I do here, maybe you could contribute over on Patreon, which allows me to do this, you know, with my tight budget, and, you know, feel a little bit more comfortable and doing these reactions, and in some cases buying, you know, physical media so that I can continue with, you know, records or CDs. But the point is, the reaction to, or my reaction to the video for Close to Me, which I realize is still ahead of us chronologically in this Cure journey, is now up on my Patreon. I think it'll be embargoed for a couple more days, but if you become a member, you can watch it now. Anyway, the point is, only knowing that song and Love Cats in any degree of clarity going into this audio deep dive, I never would have known they had music like this, and never would have known they had sort of that post-punk sound in the early days, and at this point, like, there's this dark, brooding, like, post-punk meets pop music, which in some ways reminds me a little bit of Susie and the Banshees, which, again, I'm aware that there is some crossover there with Robert Smith, but yes, the dark cycling nature of this one seems to fit with what I got lyrically, and lyrically I feel like there's a lot of interesting facets that I heard, but I don't know how it really connects together. I didn't pick up on a clear, unambiguous narrative or scene over the course of my initial listening here, but it does feel like the dark cycling drums and that deep, heavy bass fits very well with what I did hear lyrically. And indeed, talking again at the beginning about, like, hell and this being a new type of hell, and I thought he was saying it was like his first time looking in the mirror for a while, which then he said, like, you don't matter at all, or something like that. He even repeated it, and indeed there were multiple repetitions over the course of this one lyrically. But it felt like maybe he's saying, like, he's the figurehead, and this, you know, what he sees here isn't really what's there, and it doesn't really matter. And then he's talking about, like, looking out a window, or, like, wanting some glass in front of him. So I thought there was maybe a contrast between looking into a mirror and looking at a window, where you're supposed to see something on the outside, not internally, or the external of the internal in reflection. So I feel like maybe there's some figurative meaning going on with what he's seeing and what he's looking at, and why that might be hellish. And then, yes, it does feel like there's a sadness, a darkness to the tune overall. So I don't really know who the figurehead is, or in what direction this gaze is seeing hell, but it certainly doesn't sound bright and cheery. And over the course of the last couple albums, it feels like there's a cold light, as I think he said in the tune, where it's like he's shining a light onto something, but which is inherently cold or dark or troubling, and not only not running from it, but seemingly, if not exactly embracing it, not being afraid to say what it is, and to sort of take hold of that pessimism and to feel it completely and entirely. So yes, I'm not sure what's happening thematically, but it seems dark, it seems maybe self-deprecating, or at least there's some loathing to the themes at play. So I'll be curious to hear what people have to say about that. But a long and cycling and heavy tune, just sonically, And as I said, the drums and the bass really stood out on this one. The guitar, I suppose, was a bit more evocative, not necessarily dreamy in a light and pleasant way as sometimes is meant by that term, but a dreamy as in like a haze, like you're not sure what's real, what's not, what might be dangerous, or what is merely just being numb by the experience and the feelings you have. So a really interesting one, absolutely loved it, enjoying this part of their musical career, even if I'm looking forward to maybe some of the lighter tracks like Close to Me or indeed Love Cats farther along in their catalog. And as much as I enjoyed the like post-punk slash punk sound of some of their earlier stuff, I will say part of maybe why I didn't hear all of the lyrics clearly on this was that a lot of his vocals were very echoed and sort of like phasing into the background a little bit, so that does seem to be an effect they put on Smith's vocals on a number of their tunes thus far, and this one, it really was prominent, but not in a bad way. It wasn't bad that I couldn't hear everything clearly, because it just added to the mood and the atmosphere of the piece. So a really cool one. Looking forward to going through more. Once again, big shout out to Philip. Big shout out to anyone who goes over and checks out my video reaction to Close to Me and all the other things I have on my Patreon. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.